I'm a curious person. I debate with my dad a lot. I like arguing with him a lot. But my personality would be a little bit of everything.
Everything. That's what I was about to say.
Yeah, I don't consider myself a writer. The goal is mainly to help people feel inspired instead of idolizing him. Well, I've never had anyone ask me this question.
Well, now I did.
Because I have a different perspective of my dad. Our readers became the center of the book instead of Haile. I'm more harsh when it comes to my dad. I'm with my dad, honestly, 50% of the time. We would sit for hours asking him questions, and it was like, what was the question?
Again?
Yeah.
And so now let's talk about this book, Dissecting your father. That's like the whole concept of the book.
Yeah. Dissect him as a person, but more of how does Haile think?
Hello beautiful people, how are you guys doing? This is My Africa Show and I am your host and producer, Gebrselassie. How are you guys doing? I hope you guys are having an amazing weekend. So today I am at Haile Grand, as you guys can see. So a lot of people say that life is about balance, and some say it's about happiness, and some say it's about having the perfect family. But what is actually success? What is the quality, or what are the determination that will tell us how our life is determined or measured? And today we will be having an amazing conversation, which I'm so excited to share with you guys, with the daughter of Haile Gebrselassie, a very renowned, respected person in the business and also in the sports field. So I'll be talking with her not only about being raised in that environment, but also about her new book that she will be dissecting her father, guys. So it's about to rain, so follow me in, and yeah, let's see what's going to be this episode about. In person. How are you feeling?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. And I've been telling my audience that you have now written this book with your co-author, Dissecting Haile Gebrselassie. Yeah, so what's different about this book?
Well, first of all, it's a book written in English, Amharic, and also Braille.
Really?
Inclusive. So yes, we also have Braille, which makes it unique, and we want to, reach everyone. And one big thing about the book is this is just a seed in what we're doing. We plan on creating many more amazing things, kind of bringing that I can Yichalal initiative spirit, and we plan on having leadership talks similar to a TED Talk style. We plan on having Yichalal youth events, and many more. And so this book is just not a book. It's a spark, it's a seed into something greater.
So guys, this is not the only thing that we'll be discussing today with Melat Haile, but also we'll be talking about different topics. So we'll take a break and we'll be back. Stay with us. This week, My Africa Show is going to be fire, like full capital letter fire. Mel, thank you so much for having us.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Oh yes, so we have been hearing this amazing news about you writing a book about the journey of your father. And that's such an impressive thing, I believe, and we're going to be talking about that in depth. But before that, let's get to know you. Who is Melat?
Well, Melat, that's a good question, I guess. I don't like putting myself in a box, but if I had to categorize myself, I would say I'm a person that loves innovation, that loves Africa, that loves solving problems, inspiring people. My background is mainly in tech, so it's mainly software engineering and artificial intelligence, so I do like innovating in those spaces. But I also love reading, especially African history. I'm a big fan of African history, and so I try to sometimes even combine both, but to put myself in a category, I would say I'm a curious person. Yeah.
That's really interesting. So let's talk about your personality.
Yeah.
Because our personality as a human beings is shaped by a lot of things, right? The way we're raised, our family, the society. And how do you describe the way your personality was built? Because all those factors have their own contribution.
Yeah.
So tell us about that.
You know, it's funny you say that because people would assume that me writing a book about my father would make me someone that is more of, you know, observant and someone that is not argumentative or debate, like someone that likes to debate. But I'm actually like the complete opposite. I debate with my dad a lot. I like arguing with him a lot. So one of my personalities is I like tinkering with people's thoughts, trying to challenge their thoughts, because I also learn from that. And I find it very enjoying to see people's perspective, but also challenge their perspective. So that's one aspect of my personality you would find. Another thing that I mentioned is I absolutely love reading, especially African history, mainly pre-colonial African history, which I enjoy seeing how Africa was before colonization, how Africa used to lead their society. And then lastly, I love innovating. So I love coding. I love seeing, you know, what can we do with tech? How can we progress? How can we solve problems? How can this thing, you know, change our lives or impact it or make it even a little bit better? And so I like those things. So my personality would be a little bit of everything.
Everything. That's what I was about to say, because a lot of people have a lot of, what do you call it? Hobbies or something they're interested to, but you'll find something in common in between.
Absolutely.
But this one, you're like into coding, and then you'll be like, you love reading, which is like history, which is a bit different. And I believe that will have its own impact on the way you see yourself and your identity.
Yeah.
So now let's talk about this book, Dissecting Your Father. That's like the whole concept of the book.
Yeah.
And I was like, at first when I saw the concept, I was like, okay, that is just a tricky thing to bring up, because we all at some point want to write a book of ourselves or someone around us. So how did the idea in the beginning was initiated? What made you think, you know what, I need to challenge my dad, I need to interview him, and I'll write a book. And what was the initial point?
Well, good question. So I think it originally started with me and my co-author. So I have a co-author called Abayomi Maiti, who's a person I admire, I respect, and he's an incredible writer, incredible thinker, has done amazing things. And so we were sitting down chatting, and we were having a discussion, and you know, I just pitched the idea, and I said to him, you should write a biography about my dad, because I never thought of myself as a writer. And so he was like, you should join me. And we went back and forth, but he convinced me afterwards, because I don't consider myself a writer. And so we started actually writing a biography of my dad. And then midway, when I was talking to my dad about this book, he was like, no, scrap everything. Don't write a biography. Write something that will inspire people more, that will resonate with people more. So more of like a self-development, self-help book that can show people how they can improve their lives. And so we went back to the drawing board. So me and Abayomi went back to the drawing board and decided, okay, what can we do instead? And then we decided to kind of dissect him as a person, but more of how does Haile think? And so we decided to write a book on his thoughts, his principles, his philosophies, but also how he connects to other leaders we have. So what you would find in the book is something quite different, where you would have his principles and his philosophies and how that impacted him and how he came, and his background around that, but also how other great leaders have similarities. And then we also went deeper and decided to write the science behind it, so the psychology behind him. And so you would find these three components in the book. And the goal is mainly to help people feel inspired instead of idolizing him, because one of the things you find is people would read a biography and they would idolize this person. But the goal is not to idolize the person, but to also see the greatness within you. And so that's why we shifted it.
Oh my goodness, you should do this more often. I'm telling you.
Thank you.
So before we go on and into the principles that are stated in the book, because I mean, of course, our audience need to read the book for them to really understand what the book is about. But before that, I want to ask you, what is your principle? because that will just determine the quality of your life on this earth, right? So before that, I want to know, what's your principle?
Well, I've never had anyone ask me this question.
Well, now I did.
Well, I think one major part is, and I was talking to someone about this, is this concept of purpose. So not so much passion, but purpose, which is finding the answer or going through this journey of knowing why you're on this earth and what you want to do with your life. And that is always serving others. So actually, this is something that my father always told us when we were young, is he says, you know, you're born to serve others. And that really grasped me, like, how do I help others? How do I serve others? And so that's like my major principle on, like, how can I make an impact in other people's life? We all have something in us. We all have some sort of value that we can share with others, even if it's something so small. It still can make an impact in someone's life. And so it's a matter of finding that and going through that journey and finding ways that you can find happiness, but also share that happiness with others. And so I guess that would be my major principle.
If you have that, it's enough, trust me. Other principles will come along.
No, absolutely. That's actually a chapter in the book. It's about purpose, right? And a lot of the time, something that moves people in working towards their ambition or working towards life is feeling like you have some sort of
reason to leave.
Exactly. And so that's a major part, and you'll find that in the book as well. It talks more about it, but that's
exactly.
I share with my dad as well.
So, you know, sometimes I ask myself how fragile that we are as a human being, and then at the same time, we often forget that we're all connected as a human beings.
Absolutely.
And then at the same time, we all have our own process of being who we are. So weren't you somehow attached, like emotionally attached, or like, I don't know how to put it in words, but like when you were writing the book with your co-author, like how were you even able to put yourself not only as a daughter, but also as a person that's writing this story, you know? So how did you put yourself in that neutral space so that you can write what is as it is?
I think the biggest thing that was helpful for me is, again, I have a co-author who's has more of that external perspective of things. So Abayami really helped me when we were writing it, like have that outsider perspective, because I have a different perspective of my dad, right? Something as well that, you know, it's finding that neutrality. The way we found that balance is by trying to also think of our readers. So what we did is, and this is, again, Abayami, he's an incredible thinker and writer, and so he would always bring us back into, you know, what is the purpose of this? Why are we writing this? And how does this help the audience? And so it became our readers became the center of the book instead of Haile, right? And it's funny because I'm more harsh when it comes to my dad, and Abayami was more, he was more understanding. So you would think it's the opposite, but it wasn't. So that also brought the balance into a neutral state.
Okay, so you were interviewing him, asking your father questions.
Yes. So that was. So one aspect is interviewing him. So I sat down and talked with him a lot, quite a lot. So we did that for quite some time. I also used to work with my dad, so that also helps. I see his behaviors, I see what he does, I see how he thinks. I'm with my dad, like, honestly, like 50% of the time every day, and so even just being around him helped. But interviews was a major aspect, which was quite challenging for us.
How? Yeah, but tell me, I want to know.
Because the thing with my dad is if you ask him a question, he talks about something else. And so you kind of have to, you know, find the answer, because there is an answer in what he's saying.
But it's not like a direct answer to what you're asking.
So it was quite challenging, where we would sit for hours asking him questions, and it was like, what was the question?
Again?
And so that was why it was challenging.
Whenever we start a project, there's a reason behind it. As you have said, it's all about helping people and inspiring people. But at the same time, in the process, we might even find something about ourselves, or, you know, we might change in that journey. So was there any points in the process of writing this book that you took the time and say, wow, okay, I'm changing in this process, I'm personally changing? Was there any time you said that?
Yeah, I think one aspect of it is we actually talked about this before this, which is this thing of going with the flow and trusting that everything will kind of align. It's funny because my dad is similar to me, where he plans everything and he's very structured. And something I realized writing this book is, I think I kind of agree and disagree with that formula of structure. I think aspect of having that flow opens you up to new opportunities. A great example is just even me writing this book. I would never ever thought I would be an author if it wasn't for my co-author, who was, you know, pushing me and opening my eyes to this, you know, new world. I wouldn't have done it because I'm more of someone that's like, oh, it's not in my plan, you know? And so it's that idea of kind of going with the flow, seeing what can happen without always being rigid with your structure. That's what the book taught me. So that's something.
Okay, I see. So the other question that I have, this one's more personal for me, okay? Because as an Ethiopians, as an Africans, I mean, we love Haile Gebrselassie. Like we honor him through the legacy, because every single day for him to reach where he has reached now, he has paid. He's earning what he's paid, you know? So, and you travel around, you see how he's building his brand in different sectors. And living and being raised in this environment will have its own impact when it comes to understanding how life works, how, you know, you need to function. So what's the feeling of being raised in this family? Because, tell me, I want to know. Why are you laughing?
That's a really good question, because I think when I was young, I always, it's funny because I didn't like it, because I thought everything is, oh, you're Haile's daughter. It became like every time I was doing something new or being introduced to someone new, the first instinct they would have or thought process they would have, oh, she's Haile's child. And that became my identity, which as someone in their teenage times, I didn't really like it, because I was like, I have my own identity.
Yes.
Why is everyone categorizing me just as Haile's daughter, right? And then, and so I tried to steer away from that identity. And that's why I completely like even tried to find a new path, right? That's not similar to his. And then as time went by, I started realizing that as someone who's very privileged, I have, like, it's very rare, especially in Ethiopia, to have such privilege, that I shouldn't think it's a curse, but a blessing, right? And so God has given me this blessing, and I should be grateful for it, and also utilize this blessing to make some sort of impact for others. And so that changed into seeing it more of as a blessing than, this is a problem, right? And so, by the way, this enlightenment came about when I was in college, and you know, you see the problems that we as Ethiopians, we as Africans are facing as a nation, and then you realize how privileged we are, not to have the basic necessities filled for us. And so I started thinking that, oh, maybe God gave me that blessing so I don't have to think of these things, so I can help others so that they can have the necessities and have everything in their life be fulfilled. And so that shifted.
Yes.
But initially it was, I think it was a...
Of course.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Our coffee is ready. You see how professional they are. I was like expecting you to serve me this way though. Yeah. Thank you, she.
I didn't even notice.
I know. So, yeah, of course, like gaining extra attention that by itself might put you in this tense, you know, situation where you be thinking, I didn't choose to be in this space, but I'm facing it. And of course, when you grow older, the way you see it would change. So again, let me take you back to the book, okay? Because that is something that I feel will be very powerful for the youth and for those people that will be reading it, inspiring them and helping them see within themselves. So tell us the process of writing the book, like in general, right? From the start to the beginning. How did it take its own pace, I guess?
Yeah. So I guess, as I mentioned earlier, we started off as a book that was a biography, right? But initially, the way it started was me and my co-author, Abayam, would sit down and we would have a lot of discussions. About everything. So about, especially about the concept of greatness, right? What is greatness? What does it look like? How does one become great? You know, the concept of greatness, Abayami has been, I guess you can say, researching it, analyzing it, reading about it, and he knows a lot about it. And so we were having this discussion, and then me coming from the African history perspective of how other leaders in the past impacted us in this current day. So that was the discussion. And after that, we started picking up certain traits that we were discussing that was so important that my dad had. So we were kind of
tell us what they were?
Yeah. So I guess one aspect, as I mentioned, is this purpose is one major aspect of things. And then the other aspect, as you might figure out, is also, you know, learning from elders, right? It's passing on that knowledge from generation to generation and how that can shape even your view. So culture, right? How does culture shape you as a person? Was another thing that we discussed a lot heavily on, and how that shaped my dad. And then the thing that really brought the dots together is nationalism, right? That's really what brought a major dot in place for us, because, you know, being a nationalist and caring for your country can drastically change not only the person you are, but the things you do.
Exactly.
And so we were, you know, kind of making that connection. And you can see, like, past leaders, how because they cared for their people, they made an impact on their country and then even on their continent, right? People that we mentioned in the book is people like Thomas Sankara, Julius Nyerere. You know, we have extensive discussions, me and my co-author, about these incredible people and how they shaped their country because of this nationalism heart they have, and how Haile, my dad, also has a similar heart to them. Even women like Taitu, Queen Taitu, who was a major, you know, a person in who Ethiopia is today. So we had this discussion, and that's how it started, you know, evolving.
Okay, and what are you expecting? What do you think the result or the feedback's going to be?
I think the major feedback or impact that I want the book to have in people is I want them to read the book and feel inspired, enlightened, that they too can have that impact, that legacy, that greatness within them, and that they can make a change. I think another major aspect is for people to have this broader perspective on how simple things can make a major impact, and how other people who paved the path, how they did it, and how you too can do it. And then finally, it's kind of bringing that evidence-based science research aspect of things and kind of sealing it to give people that idea of, hey guys, this is not only something that has been like patterns we found, but it's also part of an extensive research of things that have been happening in the psychology world or whatever it may be, right? And finding that and making their own principles, you know?
Yes.
I don't want someone to be like, okay, this is it, this is how life should be. They should also come up with their own principles of life.
Exactly. It's just like one perspective of how you can see life.
Exactly.
And it's your responsibility to mold it and shape it in the way you want.
Yeah.
Whether you should be drinking your monkey, it's getting cold.
I forgot, yeah.
So the next thing that I want us to talk about is, I feel like in this generation, a lot of things are being misunderstood, like success, fun, happiness. And I believe those things are the things that we should be able to define it in our own terms.
Absolutely.
So as Melats, as a person that is trying to contribute, you know, to in the things that you believe that you have, I want to know how you define success. Because you've told me that you and your co-author have been having this debate about greatness, which is a whole different topic. But personally, as a human being, as a person that, you know, came through a lot, I want to know, how do you see or define your form of success?
Yeah, great question. So I think one major thing is I don't think wealth is success. So being wealthy can mean you're successful, but I don't think all wealthy people are successful. So I think a lot of people misinterpret wealth as a form of success, which I don't think so. For me, success is simple. It's being fulfilled
by
what you've done. So a great example of this is my nail lady, which is, I know,
what?
To the contrary. I would consider her someone extremely successful because she's actually someone that inspires me.
Really?
Yeah, because, you know, she has her own business, but what I admire about her is she says to me, you know, Melat, I feel so fulfilled in life because I have a business that brings revenue for me, which is, it doesn't make me a rich person, but what makes me happy is, she said, I remember she said, is buying milk for my children and going home and every day and creating warm milk and giving it to them. And she was like, because I do that, every day I'm happy. And I feel so fulfilled in life. And that inspired me so much because it shows you that success doesn't have to be something dramatic or drastic, or it doesn't have to be so much money. It can just be you feeling like, wow, what I'm doing fulfills me and also helps, it gives me an extra hand that can also help others. And so because of that, I felt so inspired by her.
Yes, yeah.
And so I guess success is fulfillment, is you feeling like, you know what, this fulfills me, this excites me, and this makes me feel like I can make some sort of impact, but also progression in life. So that's my definition of success.
Yes, that is so true. And I mean, you know what? I am so impressed by the way you're handling this question.
Oh, thank you.
Because guys, you're going smoothly. Melat. Now I'm thinking, like, I think you already knew the questions. Because the reason why I said that is a lot of people don't know where they're standing when it comes to some certain, you know, like solid questions like, what is success for you, you know? But you were able to explain that, and you should be happy and proud of yourself.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes, same admire. So now you already told us that in the book, there's going to be different chapters. One of it's going to be about purpose. So what are the other chapters? How many chapters are included in the book?
So there's 12 chapters, which is 12 principles. One other chapter, which is quite unique, talks about my mother and how my mother also had an impact in my dad's life and how she also shaped him as a person. And so it talks about women in general and how they too, even if it is behind the scenes, even if they are in the front line, have such a strong, I guess you can say, like
role
in that person's success, and even principles. It shapes, you know, it shapes them as a person. And so it talks about my mother, who's someone I also greatly admire. She deserves a book on her own. But also other great leaders, as I mentioned earlier. I too is one example, but also people in for example, Ghana, like Ya Santewa, who are women leaders that made such a huge impact and stance in their community through that feminine energy, through that feminine role, and how that feminine role can also impact a man and shape a society. And so that's one chapter.
Wow.
Another chapter is routine. My dad is a person who has a strict routine. So he wakes up at the exact same time, and you know, you'd see his life routine where he has his morning routine, lunch routine, dinner routine, and so evening routine. And so you see how routine for him is so important, because he's not a person that has a to-do list or has a calendar or anything like that. He doesn't even have an assistant that helps him. But how he's able to go with his day in such a great flow is because he has a strict routine that he follows or works for him. I know it doesn't work for others, but how routine shaped him as a person. So that's another chapter. And many more.
Yes, and many more. I guess that would do.
Yeah.
Okay, so finally, the last question that I have for you is your involvement in your father's different businesses, because Haile has its own honey, coffee, and then there's the hotel and everything. So tell us about your involvement.
Yeah, no, good question. So one aspect that I'm involved when it comes to my dad's business, it's mainly in IT. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm a big tech fanatic. And so it's trying to, how do we utilize IT to make things more efficient, systems more effective? And when it comes to the hotel, it's more of creating that IT system, maybe software, maybe hardware, and creating that integration, that central system. It was quite a tough task, but you know, we're almost there, we're getting there, but it's creating that flow, that system. However, after that, I realized there was a big potential, especially as you mentioned earlier, my dad has a coffee farm, which my sister is heavily involved in, my older sister, Aiden. And even though I'm not involved in coffee, I'm very close to my sister, and so we sit down and we chat a lot. And I see a lot of the issues she's facing, especially when it comes to farm management. And so one thing that we're working on currently is how do we utilize, especially satellite imaging, and using artificial intelligence to manage the farm.
Wow.
The farm is located somewhere extremely in the south of Ethiopia, and so reaching there is quite a hefty journey. You also have to walk more than 15 kilometers just to reach the farm, because there is no road towards the farm. And so how can we utilize satellite imaging, AI, for crop management, crop intelligence, but also forecasting weather, and then in the future also helping in deforestation, which is a major issue across the continent. And so that's something we're working on.
Wow, that's brilliant.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Milad.
So much.
I mean, one thing for sure that I have to say is, just by talking about the book, I feel inspired.
I'm glad.
And that's just a sign that I'll be even more inspired by reading the book, and I hope our audience will be too. Thank you so much for taking this initiative, for actually making it happen with your co-author and with all those people behind you, including Haile Gebrselassie, and yeah, those people that believed in you, I guess.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah.
So lastly, if there's anything that you would love to say, that you want to put out to the world, let me give you the chance. And yeah.
So I guess one thing I would say is try to find that purpose within you. Purpose doesn't have to be something set. It can just be a journey. And, you know, I hope this book impacts you in a way that you feel the light within you and see that everyone has a light within themselves. And I hope this book helps you find that light. So I guess that's my message.
All right, so after you saying that, I have nothing else to say. When the book is out, I guess it's our responsibility to purchase it, to read, and to feel connected with what is for us to understand from this book. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us on this week of My Africa Show. For those of you guys that are watching us, please let us know what you think about this episode on our short SMS 6121. And for those of you guys that are watching us on different social media platforms, of course, you guys are our families. Make sure to share us your ideas and your opinions about this episode below this video. I'll see you guys next week. Till then, goodbye.